Mr. Arafat Jamal, the Interim Humanitarian Coordinator in South Sudan, strongly condemns the latest attempted assault on aid workers and resources in Tonj North, Warrap, and urges authorities to protect communities, humanitarian employees, and assets of the nation. Humanitarian personnel attempt to provide life-saving aid to South Sudan's most vulnerable citizens, including women, children, and the elderly. Attacking them, plundering their assets, and compelling humanitarian groups to discontinue operations is intolerable and must end, Mr. Jamal stated. On the 8th of July, fighting between youth groups erupted in Mariel, Tonj North, Warrap State and persisted into the following day. According to preliminary accounts, over 5,000 people have been displaced, hundreds of shelters have been destroyed, health centers, schools, and churches have been trashed, and a World Food Program warehouse has been robbed. The warehouse housed a variety of important food supplies destined for the area's highly food insecure residents. Over 911 metric tons of food and nutrition supplies have been robbed or destroyed since early 2021. These supplies were sufficient to feed over 41,000 people who were food insecure for up to 4 months. Since March, the number of attacks on aid workers, community members, and the property has increased across South Sudan. Recent attacks on relief workers and looting of property have occurred in the Greater Tonj and Greater Pabor administrative areas, GPAA. In May, almost 1 million worth of humanitarian goods and assets were robbed and destroyed during armed attacks in Gamurik, GPAA, jeopardizing the delivery of relief to an estimated 130,000 people. The attacks necessitated the suspension of humanitarian operations and the evacuation of personnel. National and local governments must bolster law enforcement and safeguard the safety of residents and humanitarian organizations. As stated by the Humanitarian Coordinator, the trend toward escalating violence against humanitarian workers and assets cannot be sustained. We must be able to reach individuals in remote, food insecure places securely and without fear of attack. He continued, criminal acts must cease, and those responsible for violence and looting must be apprehended, the Humanitarian Coordinator A.I. said, adding that those who perpetrate these crimes are hurting the most vulnerable members of their communities.